Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the lecture on clouds, on web applications and web technologies. And so today we'll actually begin doing some programming already because we don't have much time for this, for other introductory lessons. So let us begin. And the first thing I would like to do is to install the applications or the software that we will need for this course. Okay. And the first thing is we will need environment to do that. IDE or environment, let me show you the screen. So the first thing we will need is what we call VS Code or Microsoft Visual Studio Code. Okay. And this is how it looks like. You go to the official website and you just, if you have, well, let's say if you have Windows, you just download a stable build for Windows. If you have a Mac OS, you can download it as well. Linux, you can also download it and install it. So I think I don't need to explain how to install those things. So you just go to code.visualstudio.com and just download it. And there are other things you can use. For example, many people use Sublime Text. It's another text editor for web development. Sublime Text, this one. And it's also free, but I prefer using Visual Studio Code. So I already have it installed on my computer, so I'm not going to download it. I'm just going to open it. And, or maybe I don't have it installed. Yes, I don't have it installed, by the way. Let me download it with you. Download it and install it as well. So it takes some time. And while you are downloading this one, let us see this tutorial getting started. So the Visual Studio Code is a lightweight but powerful source code editor which runs on your desktop and is available for Windows, macOS, and Linux. Okay, it comes with built-in support for JavaScript, TypeScript, Node.js, and has a rich ecosystem for extensions for other languages. So you can actually run your C++, your C#, Java, Python, PHP, Go, and so on in this using this code editor actually. But for that thing, you need additional extensions. So people prefer, for example, for C++, they prefer using Microsoft Studio, if I'm not mistaken. For C# is something else. For Java is JetBrains. For Python is something else, and as well. So you can still run your code or write it in Visual Studio Code, but mostly people use it for web development. And those are the things, and I will tell you why. So let us wait until it downloads. And by the way, on lecture sessions, I will not, well, of course, we don't have it today. I mean, on Moodle, we don't have our course yet. But once we will have our course, I will send you a key every time when we have a lecture, because, well, I have 70 or more than 70 people for this course, so I can't simply go one by one and check everyone's present on this course, on this lecture. So I will just send you a key next time, and visit or not to visit lecture lessons is your choice. Okay, so it's up to you. Okay, but there will be a lot of information on lectures, and we'll do a lot of coding as well. So let us see. And it's already here. So let me install it. And this is how the installation looks like. So you simply accept the agreement. I don't want to create a desktop icon. So everything by default. Okay, let us launch Visual Studio Code. And yeah, this is how Visual Studio Code looks like. So it is, well, it is a code editor, and you can choose how would you like it to be, light, dark, or high contrast, but I like it dark, so I'm just going to keep it like this. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to click on this one on File, and I'm going to create a new file here. So let me do it. It says select a language to get started, start typing to dismiss, or do not show it again. So I will check do not show it again because I don't want anyone to tell me what to do. Okay. So, and let's see. So the first thing we're going to write here is the following. We're going to say, wait, one moment. Yeah. We're going to say doc type HTML, and we're going to close it. So you can see how do I type it. So I open with this, well, those are the not brackets, though this is the less than sign, and then I have exclamation mark, doc type, all capital, and then I have HTML, and then I close it with greater than sign. Okay. So this is the actual, this is how you define your file is actually going to be HTML. So with this line of code, we are actually telling our website that this is the HTML file, so you need to open it as an HTML. So, but it doesn't work like this on your computer. On your computer, if you would like to run this file, well, first of all, we just created it in this application, so we need to save it somewhere on your computer. So I'm going to say, I'm going to save it. I'm going to say Control S or save here. Okay. And let's go to desktop. Okay. And I'm going to save it on desktop, but instead of saving it as a plain text, you can see there are a lot of options how I can save it, but I'm not even going to save it like this. I'm going to type it down, and I'm going to call it index.html. And there is a certain reason why people call it index.html, and I will tell you why, what is the reason, but not right now. Okay, so I'm just going to say index.html, and I'm going to click save. So now immediately you can see what something happened with my file. So the first thing is now it's not just a new file, it has its name, index.html, but also my Visual Studio Code's editor now recognizes this file as an HTML. So it's going to highlight everything for us. So it's going to highlight doc type, it's going to highlight this text. Well, there is a certain reason why it's doing it, because HTML is nothing but elements, and different element has different values, parameters, and so on in your code. And for that purpose, you will need to keep it persistent, or keep it more, let's say, more visible to you for a person. Computers, they don't even understand this language. They know only in a bit format. So they understand it, they understand only 0 and 1. But this is for human, these are the things for people, so we can understand what we are doing in our code. The next thing I would like to type down here is, I'm going to say, again, I'm going to write down HTML. Oh, sorry. I'm going to open it with less than sign, and then I would like to type down HTML. And you can see Visual Studio Code is even offering me the possible things for my element. So H1, H2, and so on, but I need HTML. So I click enter. And if I close it, you can see it automatically closes for me. And let me explain you something. This is what we call tags. Okay, so you have a closing tag or an open tag, or an opening tag and a closing tag. So because this is the structure, and there is a certain pattern or there is a certain structure that you need to follow in HTML. And we will have different types of tags. We will have closing tags, and we will have self-closing tags. And we will see those two types later, but just right now we can have a closing type tag. What do we mean by closing type tag? Is that every time we open it, we need to close it. And this is how it looks like. So you can see I just made like a line here, an empty line, is because, well, your HTML is actually a structured language. Okay, so let me, by the way, actually even zoom it a little bit. So how can I zoom? Control plus. Okay, I'm going to zoom it a little bit so you can all see. So this is how our HTML looks like. So inside of this tag, I'm going to write other tags as well. And because this is the HTML document, you begin everything with a doctype.html, and then you have HTML tags. And inside of this HTML tags, we're going to write the following. We're going to say head or header, and also body. And you can see this is some kind of a hierarchy here. Okay, we begin with HTML. HTML tag is going to represent the root of an HTML document. So this is our grandfather. So it's where our family starts. Okay, the next thing we have what we call header. Oh, sorry, not header, but head. We can put it header as well, but yeah, let's put it head this way. So we have a head and the body. So HTML is, well, it represents our structure, and inside of this structure we can have a head and the body. So what do we put inside our head? Inside of our head we put what we call metadata. So it's data about the file, about HTML. And what kind of things we can put here? We can put title. The title is once again, it's a closing tag. So you need to open it and you need to close it. And you close it. So the difference between an opening and closing tag is that at the end, you close it like this. You'll need to have used slash for this one. And then you type down title. And let's type down inside of the title, my first web page. And this is how it looks like. So now you have an HTML document with a head and a body. And inside you have a title, my first web page. So what we can do with this file? So I'm going to fold it for a moment. I'm going to fold it for a moment, and if you can see, this is my desktop, and this is where I saved index.html file. This is where I save it. So now everything I'm doing here is actually here on my desktop. So I'm going to open this one, and I'm going to open index.html with my browser. So by default, your web browser is, I don't know, Google Chrome or Firefox, and it should recognize this file because it's an HTML document. So I'm going to open it, and you can see this one is empty right now. So we don't see anything, it's a blank page, but I would like to put your attention here on the tab name or on the page name. It says my first web page. And this is exactly what we have written here. Title, it says my first web page. So you put in your head, in the head of the HTML document, you definitely need to put a title, and there is also some other information for your computer to understand, for your browser even to understand. So when the browser opens this HTML document, it goes from top to bottom. So it's going to read the first this one, and then this one, and then head, and then it will see, oh, we have a title. So I'm going to display this one first, then I'm going to close the head, and we'll start with the body, and so on. So our page now is actually empty. So what do we need to do now? So if you would like to display something on your web page, you need to use, or you need to type your code or your script. Better to sell it as script, because HTML is not actual language. It's not a programming language, but it's rather a text or a script language. Okay, so those are the scripts here. So I'm going to type something in the body. So I'm going to say hello without anything. So just hello. And now, as you can see, we don't see anything right now here, even though I type it down, okay, and I save it. So I'm going to say Control-C. And if I'm opening my web browser again, I don't see anything here. I don't see hello. Why is that? It's because...
Refresh page.
Sorry? Yes. Yeah, someone said about refreshing. Yes, this is exactly what happens. Okay, so the first thing we need to do is to refresh it. So I'm going to refresh this one, and now I'm getting my hello here. So for some of you, I already explained how the internet works. For some of you, I didn't have lesson yet, so we will have it after this lecture. So I will explain you more detail why we are not getting it right away, why we have to refresh our page first, and then only we will get our updates here. Well, it basically we need to send the new requests to our server, and server needs to reply with the new file. So think of your web browser is your one computer, and everything you do here is actually you're doing on your server. So every time you run something on your computer, you're actually accessing your own server running on your computer. And we'll talk about this later as well. So now we have a hello text. What if I would like to put something here as well? So what if I would like to have a new line, and I would like to say my name is Alex. Okay, let's say Alex. So I save it, okay, like this. I'm going to say Control-C. And I know that it won't show us my name is Alex, because we need to refresh it. So I'm going to reload this one, and it says, hello, my name is Alex. And is there any unusual thing you can see here? The unusual thing is that even though we texted hello, and then we said, please, on the new line, I would like to have my name is Alex, it still puts everything here in one line. Why is that? Well, because for us, we definitely can see this is a new line, but computer doesn't understand anything about it, so it doesn't know whether this is a new line or it's just a continue. You're just continuing your first line. So computer actually doesn't see any difference. So we need to tell computer that we actually having it from two different lines. So instead of having your text something like this, we need to use tags. Okay. We need to use tags. And the first tag I would like to introduce you today is called heading. not like this, but we have different types of heading. Okay. And the first one we would like to talk about is H1, heading 1. And the heading 1 is the biggest heading you can find on HTML out of 6. And we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We have 6 different headings. All of them have different font sizes. So this one is, so if I type down between my tags, so I'm going to say hello. I'm going to save this file and I'll refresh it. You can see hello now is first is bolded. Second, the font size has increased, right? So the font size is different. And this is what we call heading. Headings we have in a lot of places, okay? So this is a heading, and what else? Well, this one is a heading, and this one is a paragraph, and so on. So those are the headings. And we can have from 1 to 6. So let me show you number H2. My name is Alex. And I'm going to save this one and refresh my page. You'll definitely see the difference between hello and my name is Alex. So the first one is hello is much bigger. My name is Alex is much smaller. So you understand the logic. So if we go back down to X6, our H6, sorry, is going to be the smallest out of 6. I'm 18, and if I refresh, you can see it's even smaller than the usual text, right? So it's it's smaller than the paragraph. So it's a very small heading, okay? And we have the biggest one, and we have the smallest heading. And this is the first tag, or these are the first tag I would like you to be introduced to, okay? Headings. The next thing, or the next next tag I would like to introduce is, oh, sorry, one moment. Someone called me. Okay, so the next tag I would like to introduce, to you is called P. P stands for paragraph. This is where you write your main text. This is not your heading, this is your paragraph. This is where you write your text. So I'm going to say, I am 18. I come from, let's say, Africa. So I'm going to save this file. And as you can see, I will load this page. Hello, my name is Alex. I'm 18 and I come from Africa. So you can see I am is actually already a paragraph rather than a heading. So it's not bolded first, it's just a regular text. The size is much smaller than the heading 2 and heading 3 probably, but it's much bigger than the heading 6 definitely, right? So the font size is by default is 16 or 15, I don't exactly remember. So this is how our document now looks like. And let me show you the following. Okay, so how can we check our website structure? Okay. And once again, we can go to this burger here, or to this ellipsis, and we can click more tools and developer tools. And if you are using if you're using Firefox, I think you can also find developers tools here, but in Opera or any other browser, I don't exactly remember how you should open your developer tools. So if you would like to open developer tools, you please Google it, okay? So on Safari, probably it's a little bit different, but I don't exactly know. Anyway, so let us open developer tools. And you can see here inside of elements, we have our HTML document. We have doc type HTML, the same thing that we have here. We have HTML, then we have head, then we have body. So if I open my head, you can see my title, it says my first page, web page. And if I'm open my body, you can see I have H1, this element, H2, and P. Okay, those are the three elements I have inside of my body. Okay, and what if I replace it? I come from Africa. I do plumbing. Okay, so you're doing plumbing, and let's save this one. Sorry, and reload my page. Now my HTML element has been changed. So every time I reload this page, I will get the new elements from the server, and it says P is I am 18, I come from Africa, and now it says I do plumbing. Plumbing like this, but anyway, so this is how you design, or this is how you structure your web page. Okay? And if you would like to know more, let us do the following. So the reason why we're using Visual Studio Code is because those things are, or even highlighting makes our life easier. And when we're developing code, we now can see where we have the parent class, when then we have a children class or the children element. So this is the parent, HTML is the head of everything, or this is the boss, or this is the one, your grand ancestor. Head and body are siblings together, because head is on the same level as body, so they are siblings to each other. Let's say brother and sister. And the next thing is title. So title, because title is inside of head, so title is the child of head. Okay. So now head is the parent of title, and HTML is the grandparent of title. Okay. You can see the hierarchy, and body is actually its uncle, but there is no such relationship as uncle in web programming or in programming in general. So you have, of course, parent and child relationship, parent and children relationship, but not like niece and nephews and so on. So only parent and children. So here title is the child of head, and head is the child of HTML. So title is the grandchild of HTML. So this one is a grandparent. And the same thing for body. H1 is the child of body, H2 is the child of body, and P is the child of body, and so on. So the reason why we are doing this one is because first it shows us where we have elements on the same level and where we have elements on different levels, but also it highlights elements for us, so we can even have these small tool tips that is saying the body element represents the content of the document. So it gives us even the reference to the file. So if I click it, it gives us the document body element, and it tells what attributes I can have and so on. So this is the reason why we actually use Studio Code. But this is only for our comfort, right? But in reality, we can write our codes in anywhere, okay? So let me even show you where we can write our code. So I'm going to create a text document. And I'm going to say, I'm going to open it, sorry. I'm going to open it with Notepad even. So this is my Notepad document, new text. And let's say I just copy it. So I'm going to copy this whole text. I'm going to put it here. And instead of saying my first web page, I will say my first Notepad web page. Okay, so we can see the difference between those two things. So now what do I need to do? I need to save it, but not as a text extension anymore, but maybe something else. So instead of saying new text document.text, I will rename it fully. So I will say, well, let's say notepad.html. And if I turn it, if I will change it extension, it will be recognized as an HTML document, not as a text document anymore. So if I click enter, it says if you change the file name extension, the file might become unusable, but we know it will be usable. So I will say yes. And now I open it and you can see, well, we simply can write out, sorry, we can write our code even in Notepad rather than source code. You can see this one says my first web page and this one says my Notepad web page. So there is no much difference in where you can write your HTML and CSS. It's all about comfort. It's all about those things, about highlighting, about showing some maybe auto corrections or showing some errors. Because if you open it here, so I'm going to open with, well, let's choose another file. So now it opens as a web page, but I would like to open it as a text document, something like this. So I need to specify it. Sorry. So I'm going to say open with, let's choose another app, more apps, and I'm going to open it with Notepad just once. And you can see it opens the structure of this HTML document. So it doesn't send it to a browser, it opens it in a Notepad. And you can see there is no highlighting whatsoever. There is no tool tips, or there are no advices or some suggestions. So it's just a simple black and white Notepad document. Okay. So we can write our code here, but it's much more reliable or much more comfortable to write it in Studio Code. So, and I'm going to delete this one. So yeah, Visual Studio Code, Sublime Text are more comfortable, more suitable for this work. Okay. So now I would like someone to actually show me his progress. So I will go randomly, and who is that guy? Alibek Mombekov. Okay, Alibek, because you were here, I'm going to ask you to show me your progress. So are you actually doing it with me or not? Alibek? Okay. So here, the thing is, I'm not going to check whether you're actually sitting and listening to my lectures, okay? I don't care. I told you that you are responsible for your marks only. Well, this is your responsibility. This is not mine. This is your responsibility to listen to my lectures so that later on you can solve my assignments, okay? And believe me, my assignments are not going to be just regular assignments from the internet. They're going to be unique. So I know my assignments. I know how difficult they are. So I strongly recommend you to visit each and every lecture we are going to have. So Amira, Amirjanova Amira, the next person. Amira, are you here?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay. Amira, could you please share the screen with us? And if you're doing it, that would be lovely as well.
Yes, sure. Just a minute.
I think I cannot hear you. Okay. Amira, could you please share your screen? Okay. Okay, Amira is not here as well. So anyone who can share his or her screen. Any volunteers?
I
Anyone?
can.
Ligan. Sızdыкova Riga. Riga, are you here? Or are you playing tennis?
Teacher,
That's
I
not
can
a very
show.
good approach. Nurjan, could you please show us?
Yes.
Arslan is even sharing on. Is it you or Arslan?
Can you see?
Yeah, Nurjan, right? Thank you, Nurjan. So, could you please tell us or show us your HTML document? Okay.
Yes.
Hello, do not pay attention, just wait while you can leave. Okay, thank you. And could us now, following the same explanation, following the same logic, could us please create an HTML document without my help or without looking at the previous one? So no, leave this one. Could you please create it from the
Okay.
beginning?
Okay.
Yeah, so a new file and Okay, thank you. So you're providing an extension. It's very important to provide an extension because your coder, your editor needs to understand it. Okay. Yeah, the first thing you need to do is to write down HTML. So you're telling that this is the HTML document. And don't forget to close it. Yeah. Okay, thank you. And now inside, definitely you will need the head and the body. Now, could you please stop here, Nurjan, and
Okay.
without even writing title? So this is the basic structure of any HTML document. Any HTML document in the world will have this structure. So it will definitely have a doc type saying HTML. It will have an HTML opening tag and an HTML closing tag, an HTML, a head opening tag and the head closing tag, and of course body. This is a standard, basic, and the most, this is how all the HTML documents look like. And thank you, Nurjan. And yeah, you can stop sharing. Okay, I understand it. So now I would like to hear someone else. So Guljan Khanai. Guljan, are you here? Not very good. Okay. Sorry. Okay. I can't share my screen right now. Okay. Okay. No problem, Guljan. What about Notepad++? Well, you can use Notepad++ as well. Any text editor you want, you can use it. So if you would like to use Visual Code, you can use it. If you would like to use Sublime, you can use it as well. Notepad++ is also great. So many people use it even still for C++ or for C or any other language. Okay. So there are a few things I would like to tell you, and I would like to conclude the first hour of our session. Is that, it's important to learn things by yourself. So Google everything in web programming or in programming in general. You need to Google everything you don't understand. Not only in this classroom, of course, in this classroom, you will have a lot of misunderstandings, or you don't understand, you will not catch some points. But in that case, first thing you need to do, you need to Google it. You need to try to understand it on your own, and only then you can talk to me. Okay, so try to understand it on your own. That's your responsibility as a student. You know, students are doing 80% of the work, and only the left 20 they get from the teacher. So you are responsible for this one. It's up to you whether you would like to do something like this. So Google everything you don't understand in this classroom, or you can also talk to your fellow mates. You can read books. You could go to the library. So, and any resource you can use, it's available for you. Another thing is asking questions. Asking questions is a very important skill for a developer. So, of course, in your career, you won't always have someone to give you all of the answers. Okay, so the most crucial parts of being a developer is getting really good at something we can call problem solving. It is often the most overlooked skill to practice by a beginner, but in this course, we will work on the skills that's really actually matter. So moving forward, I have a request for you that will have long-term positive effects on your career, and just general advice from me. So if you don't understand something, it's important to ask questions. And in web development, it's important to ask questions maybe on some forums, in Google, or talk to your fellow mates, or talk to your teacher, to talk to your supervisors, and so on. So there is a certain order. First, you try to do things on your own. If you're in a hurry and if you need a quick answer, then you can talk to me, or then you can talk to your fellow mates or someone who has experience. But usually, if you would like to grow as a developer, if you would like to grow as a person, you need to start asking questions on your own. Okay, and then it will have very positive effect on your life. So later on, when you will have, of course, different courses, other courses, or just any other problem in your life, when you finish the university. So it's very important to ask questions and to ask them correctly as well. So Google it, talk to people, talk to community, and so on. So there are a lot of websites for web development, and just a lot of websites solving web development problems, such as Stack Overflow or any other thing. So yeah, I would like to tell you this one. So if you don't understand something, please first Google it, then talk to your fellow mates, try to find answer somewhere else, and only then you can approach me. Of course, if you are in a hurry, there is no problem of approaching me, but I want you to develop this skill on your own. And let us have a break, 13 minutes break instead of 10. So, and then we come back at exactly at sorry, no, we'll have 20 minutes break, right? Yeah, let us have 20 minutes break, and then we come back and finish the lecture.
Okay, no problem.
Okay, one moment, everyone. Okay, let's continue our practice. So let's go back to the coding, to the scripting, to be more specific. So the first thing is now we know how an HTML document looks like. So we have a title, have two paragraphs here, headings, sorry, one paragraph as well. So the next thing I would like to show you is the following. How can we turn something bold? Okay. So the next tag I would like to introduce is called B, and B stands for bold. So we are turning your text bold. So by default, headings are already bolded, so you can see it here. So, okay, so you can see, hello, my name is Alex, bolded text, but B is just a regular text, right? Without any weight here. So the weight is just the usual 500 or 400 it is. So how can I turn something to be bold? So let's say I come from Africa and I want to emphasize on Africa. I want to make this one bold. So I'm going to use B tag. So how can I turn it? So I can use B tag. And inside of my B tag, I can put Africa. Or even I can, let's say I can type it here and close it with B, and that's it. Okay. So if I save it now and reload my page, you can see the whole text is still as usual, but Africa now is bolded. So you can see the weight here is a little bit different. Okay. So I come from Africa, and this one is a bolded text. The same thing I can do with I. I stands for italic, so you can see there is some kind of logic here. So I would like to come up with the text in the next paragraph. I can use lorem, and lorem stands for lorem ipsum. Lorem ipsum is just a Latin text a lot of web developers use to fill out the section. So it's just a context, right? So in VS Code, in Visual Studio Code, you have lorem like this. So if you select this one, it's going to write a text lorem ipsum $seed and so on and so on. So this is the Latin, and Latin is a dead language, but still people use it. Well, mostly people use it in medicine and web development, just in development. Okay, and simply it's because it's a very long text. It doesn't fit my window. I will just use extra lines like this in order to see it. So I'm not really interested in the text itself. I'm very interested how it's going to look like in my like this. Okay, so now I can see it fully. And of course, on your web page is going to appear as a whole text without any those extra lines and so on. So let me save this one. And if I refresh, you can see we've got this lorem ipsum and so on. So this is the Latin. And now I would like, let's say I would like to turn the first sentence into italic text. So I can say I, and here I would like to close it with I as well. So now I save it. I'm using Control-C now. I won't use this button because I think it's better to use shortcuts. Control-C stands for save. So I'm clicking Control-C, and Control-R is going to reload your page. So I'm saying Control-R, and you can see it's already turned my first sentence italic, and the rest of the paragraph is the usual text, okay, the regular text. Why is that? Because we have an opening here and the closing tag here. What happens if you don't close it? Well, if you don't close your tag, so if it has an ending and it's not a self-closing, so there is a certain ending, so there is a certain ending tag, and you don't write it down. So just imagine what will happen. Your whole text will turn italic, okay? And if I'm not mistaken, and if you type something down after P, so your P here closes, but if, for example, if you type down new P, and if you say hello here, so I think it's going to be also italic. So it's going to continue until you close it somewhere. Okay. So you have to make sure that you close your tags as well. So it's very important to open it and also to close it. So I'm going to close it here. Now only my first sentence of the whole paragraph is italic. The rest of the sentences are okay. The other sentences are okay. So these are B and I tags. Then B stands for bold, I stands for italic. There is another tags also represents B for bold. Sorry, they also represent bold and italic text, but they are just written differently. And these are strong and EM. Strong means, oh, well, I don't need to tell you what strong is. So instead of B, I'm going to write here strong. And if I refresh this page, nothing happens. Our word Africa is still bolded. Okay? So you may tell, what's the difference, and I will tell you. Let me tell you. Instead of I, we can put EM. EM stands for emphasize, and still it will turn our text italic. What's the difference between B and strong and I and EM? So, well, the difference is that if you use B, well, probably for some browsers, it won't work. Okay? Or not even browsers, but some modes in browsers. For example, in browsers, because we have different people. We have people with disabilities. We have people with poor eyesight or something. So they are using the same browser, but in a different mode, probably. Okay, something called well, I don't exactly know what's the name of this. Yeah, I don't exactly know, but there is a specific mode for those people, so they can see the text, they can read the page. Okay? And in order for us to accommodate those facilities, to make sure that all people have access to our website, we need to do strong and EM. So it's a new semantic way. It's called semantic HTML. And so remember, instead of doing B and I, it's better to use strong and EM. EM represents stress, emphasis of its content, and it will be shown to people with disabilities if they use specific mode that actually accommodates their needs. And yeah, those are the tags that we need to also remember. Moving on, let me introduce you to lists. And to introduce you to lists, we have, first of all, we have two different types of lists. We have ordered lists, OL, and we have what we call unordered list or UL. What's the difference? Well, in your word browser, for example, if you have something like 16, 17, 18, so everything that comes in order in a list, so this is what we call ordered lists. When you have, instead of numbers, when you have bullet points, this is what in web programming is called unordered lists. So what happens is that if we save it like this, and if we refresh our page, there is nothing happens because we haven't written any context here. So we need to write something inside of this tags. So if I say hello, let's say ordered. This one, let's say unordered. And if you refresh, well, you can see both of them appear on the page as any other, well, as any other list. So there is no much difference. Well, the difference is because we just created a list, but in order to put elements or items inside of this list, we need another tag called li. So you just created a list, and to put items, you need a tag li. Li stands for list item. And let's say you have, well, a shopping list. When you go to do groceries, you need to have a shopping list. So you need to buy, let's say, bread. You need to buy, I don't know, milk. And so on. Okay, and unordered. Those things you can also, let's say, you also can have a shopping list. So it doesn't matter in what order you buy. It matters in what order you cook it, probably. Okay. Anyway, so we have now two list items, bread and milk, in both types of lists. And let's see how it looks like on the page. This is how it looks like. So we have bread and milk, and this an ordered list. So we have numbers here, and bread and milk here is in unordered list. So we don't have any numbers here. We have only bullet points. And yeah, this is how you create lists. So what you can do here is that, well, you go shopping, and this is how you can create shopping lists, actually. Okay. And talking about shopping, you may be thinking, why would we need to write a page to do our shopping? Well, I will tell you why we are doing it, and why am I introducing this one to you. Because when we are going to talk about JavaScript and we will write functionality of our website, you will see why do we need lists and how we can actually create a grocery list, and is going to be interactive. So we'll see it anyway, don't worry. So the next thing I would like to introduce you to is images. And by the way, this li is what we call a nested tag, and it means that this item will not exist outside of orders or unordered lists. So if you put it somewhere here, okay, it will appear, but it will appear neither ordered nor unordered list. No. Yeah, you can see it's not a list even. Well, it gives you a bullet point, of course, but list items, or yeah, those are the nested inside of ordered or unordered lists. They have this kind of a like a space before the actual list begins. So this one, an unordered, or sorry, an unnested list item, you can see it gives some space, of course, for bullet points, but then it starts somewhere else. Okay, so there is a certain difference, and I don't recommend you to use list items outside of those lists. Okay, unordered or ordered lists. So they are well, they belong to each other, right? So that's what we have. And the next one is I would like to show you self-closing. I would like to show you self-closing tags. And the first self-closing tag I would like to show you is called break. And let us see what is break. So now you have a text like this. Okay. Of course, there is a. Let us do the following. Let us add one more item. So you can see your paragraph now looks like this. Okay. What am I going to do here is that, well, I would like this text or this part of the paragraph, I would like it to begin with the new line. Of course, I can write it inside of another p tags, but instead I will do something like this. I will say break, and that's it. So now if I refresh my page, you can see that this sentence or this part, it starts from a new line. So I'm actually breaking the text into two different lines. So this one is going to start with the new one. And the description says the BR element represents a line break. Another type is of self-closing tag, and you can see it's self-closing. So if you write it this way, you don't need to close it somewhere. You don't need to write, I don't know, what's BR, something like this. So it won't work. So it exists as it is on the BR. And the next self-closing tag I would like to show you is called HR. So it's a horizontal line. And if you save it and you refresh it, you can see right now there is a horizontal line from one end of our web page till the end. And yeah, there is a horizontal line between two parts of the same paragraph of the same element. So HR is, once again, it's self-closing tag, and it represents a paragraph level thematic break. Okay. So those are the self-closing tags. That's quite useful, although we don't need them now. So let us have something like this. And let's go back to a self-closing tag, but this tag itself doesn't do anything. So it requires some parameters. Okay. And let us say bread here. What if I would like to also put an image of bread I would like to buy? So I can use this one with the tag called img or image. Image stands for image, of course, img. So, but an image represents an image, sorry, img tag represents an image, but without certain parameters, it won't do anything but to show us there is a, well, it's like a kind of a break. But if we check our developers tools, figure to body, and if you check ordered list item number one, it says list item, and then we have img. So img is present on your web page, but it doesn't show anything. So we have to specify something. Okay? And the first thing I would like to tell you that for image tag, we need to specify a source file. So the file that actually is going to be a picture that we would like to show on our web page. It can be a link from the internet, or it can be a picture from your computer. And well, I strongly recommend you to use pictures from the internet rather than your computer when you actually, especially when you're doing your assignment, because many people forget how it works. Okay, you don't. So let's say you're typing something like apps, or let's say desktop, and then you say picture.jpg, and many people. Well, let's say on my desktop, I have a picture called picture.jpg. And many people actually believe that, well, if they specify the source like this, okay, so it will be embedded into code and wherever the code goes, the picture will follow. No, it's not the case. The picture will remain on your computer. So if I open it on my computer and I don't have this picture on my desktop, it will show me this one. It will show me that, oh, there is a picture, but I can't locate it. So sorry, you only see an image icon or something. But so I need to make sure that my picture link is persistent for everyone. That is why it's important, or it's very useful to use pictures from the internet, especially when you don't have your own. Okay, so let us see. Let's say bread. What we can find with the bread. A lot of nice pictures of bread. Let's say I like this one. So what do? I don't just copy this part, okay, because this is the not the actual path to the picture, but it's just a path to this web page. So if I would like to open, if I would like to get my picture link, I need to open. It says open image in a new tab. I'm going to open it like this, and if I check my if I change the link, okay, at the end it will say something 17.jpg. So usually pictures are represented in different formats. The most known are JPG, PNG, GIF, and so on. So you have to make sure that you copy something like this. So your link must contain JPG or PNG or something. Sometimes it contains other things, but well, this one should be somewhere in your link. So now if I save it, and if I refresh my page, okay, it's going to show me my bread, okay, even though it's big. Why is that big? Because, of course, it shows us with its natural sizes. So the size of this picture is actually 1,000 pixels on 8,000 pixels. So it's a quite big picture, right? So what we can do actually here, we can specify other parameters as well. So we just specified a source to that image. What we can do actually as well, we can specify not only source, but let's say, sorry, I'm going to that way. I can specify width, so shooting up, and let's say 200 pixels, and height. So now, if I update it, or sorry, if I save this one and if refresh, my picture is going to turn into a small one. And because I just specified parameters, I would like my width to be 200 pixels and height to be 200 pixels as well. And px stands for pixels, and this is the standard way of representing the size of your picture on your computer. Okay. And well, it seems a little bit awkward. It's still big, so I'm going to say 50 pixels, and let's say well, 30 pixels. This one is nice. Okay, small picture. So those are the parameters, and you may be wondering where I can get where should I check those parameters, where I can get them. There is a very nice website. There is a very nice website called W3 Schools. W3 Schools online web tutorials. It's a very free freemium educational website for learning coding. And there are a lot of, not tutorials, but a lot of things that you can explore, including references. You can have references or information on anything you want. We are mostly here interested right now, at least, in HTML tag reference. So I'm going to open this one. Okay. And on the left hand side, you can see that it says HTML by alphabet, HTML by category. Anyway, if you are doing it by alphabet, let's say this is very well, looks familiar, right? It defines the document type, and this is something that we already have. We say doc type and we say HTML. We also know B. B says defines bold text. What else we know? Well, I don't see it here. AM, it stands for defines emphasized text. We also have head, HR, break, I, and so on. So those are the text tags available for you to use in your HTML. And here I'm mostly interested in IMG tag. So where is it? It's here. So I'm going to open it anyway. So this is, it says HTML IMG tag. And if I scroll down, it says definition and usage. The IMG tag is used to embed an image in an HTML page. Thank you. And it says images are not technically inserted into a web page. Images are linked to web pages. The images tag creates a holding space for the reference image. And the IMG tag has two required attributes: source and alt. Source is something that we already specify. It's a link to your actual picture. Alt, it says, specifies an alternate text for the image if the image for some reason cannot be displayed. Okay, let's say on your database you deleted that picture. And what would happen is that your picture will become something, well, it will look like something like this. Okay, so it will say there is a picture, but there is a problem, so I can't show you. What you can do with is you can specify alt parameter. And that parameter, you can say red, or let's say black red or something. Or let's say gray bread, and this is the alternate text. So what happens is that if for some reason your picture or your image is not uploaded to your web page, it will say gray bread, and it will say there is a picture, and the alternate text is gray bread. Why is that? Because alternate text may already tell something to the user. So if you would give, well, very meaningful text, it will give a lot of information on something about this picture. Okay, so it's like a textual description of what happens on your picture, on your actual image. And there are different attributes here as well. Browser support. Browser support means that it should, if you are going to run this code or run this script in different browsers, is going to be visible everywhere. So everyone understands what IMG is. And those are the attributes. Alt stands for alternate text. So you specify a text or a string value. And I hope you remember string values from Java, from C++. Cross origin is something I don't know. Height is you specify something in pixels. So you specify the height. Then let's say source, where you specify the path to the image. Then you have width, where you specify the width of an image, and so on. Sizes, map name, yeah, another URL, and so on. So this is actually very nice. Sorry. So it's very nice. So now our attacks are not just closing and ending things where you can put your text in, where you can text to, but also it has attributes. So it changes depending on our needs. So and this is how your HTML looks like. So let me see my notes. Another tag I would like to introduce to is called A. A stands for anchor. And anchor means I would like to have a link. So basically you are embedding a link on your website. So now let's say okay, so let's say my name is Alex, and I would like to my name, to be a link to my photo or my portfolio or something. So what I can do here is that I can wrap my word Alex, my name, with A, sorry, and A stands for anchor. So now I can close it as well. Now A requires something. It requires the reference to that actual link. So it's the first parameter here and the most important is href, and there's actually a reference that is going to contain a URL or URL fragment or hyperlink, we can tell it. So let's say Alex, and I would like to take the most famous Alex in the world. And let's see who is the most I don't know.
Alex from Madagascar.
Yeah, let's say Alex Lyon, this guy. So what I can do here is that, oh, sorry, open image in a new tab. So I'm going to copy this one, and you can see there is no extension at the end. So extension is somewhere here, and then this has additional parameters or additional something. So it always have to have extension, but it's not always at the end. So be aware of this one. So now I would like to embed it here. So I would like to have it here. Okay. So now what will happen is that if I save it, and now if I refresh my page, you can see Alex turns into a link, and you can see even when I put my mouse over that word, my mouse cursor changes, so it becomes a link cursor or something. So if I click on this one, it will open my picture. It will link me, or it will forward me to that picture. And this is what we have here, and this is what we call an anchor tag. And if you would like to explore it more, here it is. Sorry, stands for a it defines a hyperlink, which is used to link from one page to another. Okay, and it's supported by every browser, and those are the attributes. And well, you can even specify download attribute, and specifies the target will be downloaded when user clicks on the hyperlink. Okay, it's very good. It's a very good thing. And media, ping, relationship, target, type, and so on. So you can specify targets, very important, very nice. So it specifies where to open the link document. So by default, I think it's self. But if I specify top instead of self, it will open my. If I click on this one without clicking the right button, or without clicking in new tab, by default, if I click it as usual, it will open it on top of my already existing page. But right now, if I click it, it will open in the same page. So a lot of parameters that you can specify here are present as well. And the last thing I would like to tell you about is, why do we need HTML, index.html? Why do we call it by default index.html? Well, index.html is widely accepted, it's worldly accepted default name for your HTML page, and usually your landing page. So let's say if you create a web application, the first, or any other web application in this world, probably most likely their first landing page is called index.html. Why is that? Because index.html is, well, it comes from a long time ago. So it comes from different even timeline. So probably somewhere at the beginning when we had Apache page or Apache server. So they said that, well, index.html should be your starting page. We will not accept anything but your starting page called index.html. So that is why index.html is actually why we call our HTML document in the first place. And the last thing is I would like to tell about relative and absolute path. Relative and absolute path is a very important thing here. So relative means relative to something, well, let me even show it. Maybe a picture will be very useful.
Teacher, sorry.
Probably know
Teacher.
this from your programming lessons, but yeah. So is it a good example? Yeah, this is the absolute path. Absolute path means that the whole path to something, to let's say to this GIF document, to this GIF picture. Relative path is relative path of above file locally. So let's say currently I am on my desktop. So the next thing I need to do to access logo.gif is just to click on logo.gif and open it. But it won't be the case all the time. Computers don't work like this. They start from either relative, or they start from the your current path, or they start from the root path. And in order to ask, for example, to access a desktop that is going to be on the same folder as my file, so let's say, well, let me show it to you. Let's download this cat's picture. I'm going to save it on my desktop. Let's say I'll call it cat.jpg. Okay, nice. So now what happens is that what if I, instead of this one, I just say cat.jpg. So if I do something like this, and if I refresh my page, you can see now this picture. So now this is an absolute path. Oh, sorry, this is a relative path. Why is that? Well, it is relative because my HTML document and the cat picture are in the same directory. They are in the same directory called desktop, right? So here I have HTML and here I have JPG. So they are in the same directory. What happens if I move it to, let's say, picture folder? So I put my JPG picture here, and if I refresh my page, now my computer doesn't know where the cat is because it's been moved to the folder or to the picture folder. So now I need to change it. I need to say, first you go to picture, you open picture folder, and only then you, and inside of this picture or folder, you will find cat.jpg, and it's back. And this is the relative path. Absolute path is when you have absolute path is when you have the full path to your document. So it's going to be so it's going to be this thing here. Okay. So now, sorry, I forgot to finish it. It uses backslash, but then we're going to use just slash.
Like it.
So now if we refresh it, I got our picture here. And this is what we call an absolute path. We specifying the whole path to that document. And even if we move in our index.html from desktop to documents or to any other folder, it will still find our cat.jpg because it has an absolute path. Okay, as long as this picture stays inside of the picture folder, as long as it stays on desktop, as long as it stays within this user and so on, it will be found by your application. And yeah, and the relative path is of course relative to the current directory you are in. And yeah, this is the end of today's lesson. So